Welcome everyone. In today's market outlook, we're going over 4 pairs with the DXY and the AUD. So let's dive right into the market. So first of all, starting with the DXY, what can we see on the daily time frame? Well, we'll see that we did still not have made that pullback towards that premium prices, right? So I'm still expecting that on the long term. We could maybe have some reaction on this supply zone, maybe drop down lower to grab some liquidity, but in the long term I'm still waiting for that upside towards this 50% Fibonacci retracement. Okay, then if we go over on the 4-hour, we can clearly see that we just tapped in towards a supply zone and that we now could push down lower to grab some liquidity at the lows, right? At the lows. Let me draw it for you at the lows here. Okay, so I'm expecting maybe a little downside to push then further up towards that 50%, right? So for now I'm expecting downside on the short term on DXY. If we go over to AUD, what can we see on AUD? We see that the market's making some weird move, but we saw that overall we tapped in towards this 50% in that premium prices, so we could be ready to drop down lower, but I still see more upside, and that's because here's a lot of liquidity lying with a supply zone above. So when will I short? Well, I'm waiting for that tap in this demand zone, grab all this liquidity, then expect a fractal break, and then we could push down lower. Okay, going over to Euro AUD. So if we expect upside on AUD, we expect downside on Euro AUD, and that's perfectly in line because we are bullish on the 4-hour, on the daily, I mean, sorry, and we still have not made that retracement in these discount prices, so we are expecting downside. Also, we have this supply zone that is in control and is now pushing prices down lower. Where could we trade to? Well, we could trade towards these lows and this demand zone. Going over to the 4-hour time frame, well, what do we see on the 4-hour? Well, I see that here we have this supply zone that I draw also on the daily. We have a lot of trendline liquidity, so what could happen? Well, we could maybe see a push up higher, grab some liquidity, and then push down lower. But what also could happen is, as we grabbed liquidity here and made a good high, I made videos from this, guys, so if you don't understand making a good high, what is a bad high, what is a bad low, well, make sure to check them out. So here we grabbed liquidity, so I could say, or we could say, that the price is ready to drop down lower. Okay, so yeah, I'm a bit hesitating, and if we zoom into the 1-hour time frame, we can see that here is also a supply zone, guys. In that big supply zone that I draw on the 4-hour, this was the liquidity high that grabbed this liquidity that I just explained. Here we can see the same move. This is price pushing up higher at the moment. If we grab this liquidity, we have like the same move here. Okay, guys, here is the Asian high. If we swap this, then get a 50-minute fractal break, we could see some bearish trends. So if we grab this, then see a fractal break here, boom, we could see downside. So I am now expecting downside. I'm not even looking at this liquidity anymore, but it can still be grabbed, right? But I'm now thinking of just downside towards these lower prices, right? Going over to GBP AUD. On GBP AUD, we also expect downside, because if we expect downside on AUD, if we expect upside on AUD, we expect downside on these pairs. So what can we see on the daily time frame? Well, on the daily time frame, we can clearly see that there is a bearish momentum, a bearish order flow. Okay, there is supply in control that now pushes price up, down, lowers. So we have made that pullback in towards this 50% prices, but we have a lot of liquidity trend line here lying above a supply zone. So what am I expecting? I'm just expecting that we grab all this liquidity out, then tap in the zone, and then will I be ready to long. Okay, going over to the 4-hour time frame. Well, on the 4-hour time frame, we have a bit the same than on the than on Euro AUD. We see those, we tap in towards supply. We are now fractal bullish. If this breaks, we're fractal bearish, and we could push down lower. Okay, but for now I'm not yet interested in some shorts. Maybe if we grab this liquidity we could short, but I don't think it's valid because I think these are equal highs. Let me check this now. Yeah, I think this high is even higher as this one. So these are equal highs, and equal highs often get swiped. So I'm just expecting that this price breaks this supply zone, grabs the liquidity, and then forms a good high, guys, and then trade down lower. Okay, so that's what I'm expecting on GBP AUD. If we then go over on the USD pair, so Euro USD, we expected short-term downside, so we can clearly see that on USD we're just expecting some upside, right, guys? So going over to the daily time frame, what do we see? Well, we see that we are daily bullish, right? We still need to make that retracement towards this discount prices. There is a lot of liquidity here lying. There is this demand zone, but it's really low, and there is also bearish order flow going on that is pushing price down lower. Here we have another supply zone just formed this night, so I'm just expecting more downside actually towards this demand zone, and I'm expecting also that this demand zone even get broken and grab some liquidity at the downside. So I'm just expecting some downside, but as we said, we expect short-term downside on the DXY, meaning that we expect also short-term upside on the Euro USD. So what did I saw here is a demand zone with liquidity lying above, right, guys, with liquidity above on the 4-hour time frame. So what can we see? We can see that we formed a good low, so I'm maybe expecting some upside towards this liquidity, tap in towards this supply zone that just got formed by the fractals, even this supply zone, but I'm expecting this supply zone to tap. So I'm just expecting this, and then we could trade down lower. Okay, guys, going over to GBP USD, going over to the daily time frame, we can clearly see that we are just turned bullish. Okay, guys, so if we expect that this is our swing high, what do we see? Well, we see that we still need to make that retracement, right? Because we have this move down, then we break market structure, and after the break of the market structure we didn't make that retracement yet towards the discount prices. Okay, guys, so we are now in supply. We are again fractal bearish, so I'm just expecting more downside on this pair. But as I mentioned, we expect also short-term downside on DXY, so maybe short-term upside, maybe grab some liquidity here and then push down lower, guys. So guys, now if you have enjoyed this video, you have learned a lot, please leave a like, let me know in the comments where I can improve, and I see you guys in the next market outlook.